Hello,
Hey, how's it going, man?
Felix. What's up, man?
What's going on, brother?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Can't complain.
So my internet is a little. That's good. That's good. My internet is a little spotty right now. I don't know if it's morning. I'm not sure what's going on, but I wanted everybody to. Me and Felix met. Yeah, I don't even remember the year. We were working out of the banknote building, right? That's
Yes.
you were in the office with me at the.
Yeah. You were sitting behind me. I was sitting in front of you. I didn't think you would remember.
Yeah. So tell the my audience.
You broke up a little bit
You
there.
hear me?
You broke up a little bit there.
Sorry. So come on, tell the audience what you do, your history, your background.
All right, great. Well, I'm originally from the Bronx, from the South Bronx, 167th Street and Salem Boulevard. About 7 years ago, I moved to Atlanta. The reason why I moved to Atlanta, it wasn't for any professional reasons. It was for personal. My son's mom moved to Atlanta, and I used to see my son every single, practically, it felt like I was seeing him every day. And then when he moved to Atlanta, I followed along with him. I didn't know anything about Atlanta. The only thing I knew about Atlanta was watching Ludacris and Jermaine Dupri, those type of videos. I didn't know anything about Atlanta. So I just packed everything that I had. I left my business that I had in New York, the one that I had in the banknote building in Sunshine Suites. I left that alone and started focusing more on establishing a relationship with my son. And then once I started getting my foothold here in Atlanta, I started networking with a lot of different technology professionals, and I got right into the swing of things again and being an entrepreneur and building a technology business from there. Now I own and operate, and I'm a co-founder of All American Technology Solutions Group. We're an IT and information security consulting company where we have a lot of customers here in the Southeast that we deal with and we support on a daily basis. But I've been in the IT industry,
So
infosec industry for like 20 plus years.
hello,
Yeah, I'm here.
hello.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. The great thing about technology is with these type of tools that we have here, we're just going to experience technical difficulties, and we just do is what we just start off where we left off and just continue on, right? Because as we dealing with these types of issues that we're dealing with today, we just have to, just go along with everything that's going on.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Me out. So I'm trying to I'm gonna ask you questions, let you go until I fix this internet thing. So talk about your entrepreneurship journey. Like, what made you go from whatever you were doing before you started your company?
So, well, what I was doing, I have about 20 plus years in the IT industry and the information security industry. Back in New York, I was working for one of the largest nonprofit organizations in the country, and I was working with them in the IT capacity where I was handling a lot of their technical support, building the infrastructure, just help them build the business when it comes around IT. I was helping them with Office 365. I was getting them to the cloud. I was really building the infrastructure and building their IT department. But what I found is that these consultants that they were working with at the time, they were charging a crazy amount of money to provide some consulting help for the organizations, hundreds of dollars an hour. And I felt that although the nonprofit world and the small to medium-sized business world does need to get to an enterprise level with technology, the cost that they were providing, that they were charging these entities were too high for these entities to grow. So what I decided to do is take my expertise with the amount of experience that I had and build this IT company when you and I were in the same location. And that's where my entrepreneurship really took on. I took a break, to deal with some family issues, but then once I got back into it, the lessons learned that I learned from being for starting out in New York, I was able to take it to another level when I started it here in Atlanta about 2.5 to 3 years ago. And in addition to that, I learned so much about entrepreneurship from the past 3 years that I ever did at the time that I started, because at that time I really didn't know much about the business world and the hardships that I was going to deal with. But once I dealt with them there, I was able to take the knowledge that I gathered throughout the past couple of years and really build the business. I believe going through those lessons learned really was what took me to the next level.
Again.
No worries.
So I heard it, right? So but say hoping is people advise their own companies. Can you hear me?
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. It seems like you're going from a couple of words and then you're skipping across.
Hold on 1 second. See if that helps. All right, let's see if it works. Oh, here. Got I'll be right back. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, all right. So I had to bail on the computer. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, it's all good.
So hopefully this works better. So basically, what I like to do with guests is start to pick their brains about what do they believe works right now, right? Like as an entrepreneur right now, you're working in IT. What would you give advice to anyone starting any type of company right now? Because you, especially the fact that you're in IT, right? So technology, you've been in it for a long time, and a lot of people have like slowed they haven't really taken advantage of technology as much as they needed to right now. So what kind of advice would you give any entrepreneur right now based on your experience?
Yeah, my experience, my company, we work with solopreneurs and we work with startup companies, and we also work with companies that are trying to take it to the next level. And what I always tell these companies is that they have to invest in technology from day one, right? So some of them they believe that they believe that the um, the idea of technology is foreign to them. You have these CEOs that want to do everything on their own. You have these businesses that want to bring their family members in that know a little bit about technology and set up their website, set up their email, things like that. They really have to work from day one with an established professional to set them up properly. Because what I'm finding is that these small companies, especially in today's time with the COVID-19 and the coronavirus pandemic, they weren't prepared for it. They weren't
No.
prepared. They weren't prepared to go and work remotely and access applications that if they would have been working with a professional, they would have been able to set up properly in the cloud. They would have got the right equipment. They would have made sure that their security at home was set up. Things like that. They weren't prepared for that.
Yeah, so like what would you tell, like what's the business, the entrepreneur starter kit after COVID, right? Like I just feel like after COVID many things are going to change, right? So one thing is when you're about to start a business, what would you say as an IT professional? There's things that are like you can't start a business without having a website, right? Like even though a lot of people now are like, oh, why do you need a website if you have social media? I've heard that a lot, and that's kind of like moronic in a way when I hear it, but you have to like just take in information because people are people. The big thing about social media is you don't own the platform. So, if you do anything on social media, one day they could turn off your I know people with hundred thousands of followers that get their pages turned off, and then what? Your business is gone. You
Right.
want to pull people to a place that you control. So a website is one of those things where it's like if you have a business, you need a website. There's no, you don't even need a phone number as much anymore as you need a website, right? So what are some things as an IT professional you feel like people should know that they need when they start a website? I mean, start a company.
Well, the one thing that I've been speaking to companies now that I'm going to start pushing moving forward is business continuity, right? So a lot of business don't think about the risk that they're going to face in a world like you're saying. For example, the risk of marketing and advertising in social media is if you put the wrong content in social media, they're going to shut you down from one day to the next. It happened with I mean, it wasn't a business, but you can see it happening with these Instagram lives that are going on, where uh, these 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 hip hop artists are creating these Instagram lives that are reaching hundreds of thousands of viewers, and all of a sudden, from one day to the next, they get shut down because Instagram it has a problem with what they're putting out there, right? So in a way you have to understand as an entrepreneur when working with technology the risk, right? You have to understand that from if we were hit with some kind of pandemic again in the future, that we're preparing for that.
Very possible. Very possible too. Yeah, and even right now, the idea of who knows how long we're gonna be in this, right? Like people are hoping another month. Some people are saying 2 years. They're not saying we're gonna be at home, but this kind of environment where you can't really be. There's no like large gatherings. There's no sports. There's no there's businesses that are super impacted by this, restaurants, right?
Right.
So I'm even talking to restaurants that are starting to like change the way they're doing and doing virtual kitchens, right? That's a way
Yeah.
to use technology to survive, right? So
But what the
yeah,
thing
like
with that is you got to have the infrastructure in place, right? For example, if you're a restaurant and you're trying to do a virtual kitchen, right, you have to understand where you're going to be doing the virtual event from. Whether you have a strong internet connection, where you have a decent computer, where you have the right software, right, that you're providing the right content. Those type of things come into play when you're trying to do everything virtual, right? And that's what a lot of things that happen from one day to the next is that organizations were forced. It seemed to me like they were forced from one day to the next to start working remotely, to do all their business online when they never even
yep,
prepared to do that, right? So you had the
yep,
small mom and pop, maybe say the accounting firm that had maybe 15 to 20 employees, right? Right now in tax season, because this happened in the middle of tax season, right? Toward like around February to April, right? And a lot of their business is people coming into the business and working directly with an accountant, right? So imagine that firm that was seasonal, the business was seasonal, and all of a sudden this happened, and then they need to rush to start working and providing their services online, right? They weren't able to do that. So a company like mine, we were preparing businesses way back, right? Way back, because in Atlanta here, when there's a little bit of snow, there's a flurry in the news, they shut down the whole city. They
I
shut
didn't
down
even
the
know it snowed in I didn't even know it snowed in Atlanta.
Yeah, it snows. It flurries. It flurries. They call it like a severe snowstorm, but it's a flurry, like not even half an inch to inch on the ground. But when that happens, yeah, man, when that happens, they shut the whole city down, right? And organizations are forced to go from working in an office to working remotely from one day to the next. So we was already preparing the customers that we deal with here. So we've been using that model all over the place to ensure that we're putting systems in place to help them move from one day to the next.
So yeah, that's part of technology. Like if I don't know if you remember, but when we were working at Sunshine Suites and I had an office space there, I'm not sure when you were there. I'm not sure if when you were there, I had a large team at one point. I'm not sure if you were there. I had
Yeah,
like
I remember. Yeah,
about
I remember you had like about when I was there, you had two to three employees that actually I met them and they were working with you, and I remember right in
yeah,
the row next to us, AOC was there too. She
yeah,
had like
yeah,
a
yeah,
publishing desk there. Yeah, so I remember. I remember.
yeah, yeah. So back then, I was most of my team was remote. So even from back then, I was already on the remote thing because what happened with me is nobody wanted to come to the Bronx, right? So I would get these big contracts and I would be like, look, I need a developer to work on Nickelodeon or IHOP, like a big project. And people were like, I'm scared of the Bronx. They wouldn't say I'm scared of the Bronx, but they would be like, I really don't want to come to the Bronx. So I remember one of my mentors saying, look, because I remember thinking, damn, I have to move back to Manhattan because I came up to the Bronx because my mentor was starting Sunshine Suites, one of my mentors. And he was like, look, come up. You're from the Bronx. You can help me bring people in. So when I got up there, nobody wanted to come anymore to my office. And I'm like, damn, how am I going to survive like this? So he was like, look, this is an opportunity for you. If you could figure out how to run this company remote, you could work with anybody in the whole world. And I was like, that makes sense, right? So what I did was I balanced. I had people that would come to the Bronx, and then I did remote for everybody else, and I was able to really scale the business like that. And it really put me in a situation where I could work from anywhere with anybody. And now this time I'm good because I have more than 10 years of experience doing it,
Right.
but I remember like once this hit, everybody that worked with me was like, thank God I worked with you. And at the time, I thought you were crazy for doing it the way you were doing it. But I'm super prepared for right now because of what you made us do. And it was because of that guy. And I don't know if you remember, it's Henny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yep.
Henny was the guy who ran the space. He's the one who was really telling me that. And now I'm really trying to push any organization to think like that. Yeah, you
Yeah,
remember Henny? like this first and then Office second? Because if you think in the opposite way right now, your business could go out. You
That's
know.
right. Yeah, you have to, in today's world, you have to think of the cloud first. I tell people all the time is the days of you having a file server on
You heard
site.
me?
Yeah, I heard you.
My internet's still messed up.
It's breaking up, but I hear you. I hear you. So what I do is when I work with companies, I tell them the cloud first, right? A lot of small businesses, they want to build these closets with file servers. They want to put the latest and greatest firewall. They want to build these
All right.
infrastructure, which is good, but I want them to think about cloud first, because the cloud, you can work from anywhere, right? You just need a strong internet connection and you're there. But the problem is with that is a lot of organizations are not thinking about, they're thinking about the cloud, but they're not really thinking about cloud security and those type of things afterwards. Yeah, so things like that is what organizations need to think about when they're small. They have to think about what type of technology they have now. Like we work with companies that, like you were mentioning, that right now you don't need a phone, right? But a lot of companies that deal with customer support, they have these systems in place that work with the telephone. So, for example, we have companies who sell stuff on Amazon, who sell stuff on their website, that they have a small call center, about maybe 10 to 15 staff members handling calls every day. So what we've been doing is, a lot of these companies, they want to get these elaborate phone systems with software that can do call queuing and stuff like that. But those systems, they cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to purchase and then implement and then maintain. But what we do is we try to move them to the cloud, along with the other services that they use, like email, file services, and telephony. We try to move them to the cloud. And we've been finding that moving them to the cloud has made them a bit more efficient, and then they can actually they can scale their business uh, across regions. Like if you're working in the Southeast region, or you're working in the New York City metro area, and you want to expand to California, or you want to expand to the middle of the country, we can build the systems in place. We can put the systems in place that can help them grow the business, especially in today's time that we have to work remotely and things like that. So some of the services that we provide, some of the biggest services that we provide is 24/7 help desk support and network monitoring, remote monitoring and network support. There are these organizations out there that they can't afford an IT staff member on a permanent basis. So what they do is they look for organizations that can help them be more efficient with their technology and their staffing and things like that. So my company comes into place and provides them a 24/7 help desk at like a fraction of the cost that they would have to pay a day-to-day employee. For example, we have a help desk team that's based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that is a staff with about 50 to 100 full-time help desk specialists that are taking calls every single day from the customers that we serve. When the COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic just started hitting us hard, where these states started mandating work from home, we already were prepared for that. Our help desk team is already working from a remote office, and we just said, all right, everybody start working from home. And what this allowed us to do is allow us to show our customers that we were resilient, that we were able to provide these core services for them, and we were able to establish and continue to support and maintain these companies throughout the situation.
So And the businesses you provide your service to, what type of businesses are they?
They are, for example, we have a e-commerce. We have one of the biggest customers we have is an educational institution. It's a school that is at the graduate level, and they have about 150 faculty and like about 700 students on a daily basis. So that's one of the largest ones, and we have to make sure that they're complying with the the FERPA regulations, which is the Federal Education and Rights and Protection Act. So we have to make sure that whatever we set up for them is secure and allows them to be complying with that. And then we have another entity where they sell a lot of stuff online. They sell supplements. So they sell supplements to GNC, to what's the other one? I think vitamin. I forgot the name of that entity, but it's a vitamin. They sell the vitamins. They're competitor to GNC, Vitamin Shop. So they sell supplements to that, and they have a manufacturing factory here in the Atlanta metro area. And what we do is we support them as well. And then we have another organization that it's in the meeting and event planning business, and now they're starting to move their stuff virtual, and we're helping them with that. So we also have law firms and financial institutions that are our clients, and we have to make sure that they continue to be up and running, through these times. So those are the type of businesses we have different verticals that we have, from education to finance to manufacturing and e-commerce to meeting and event planning. We have a variety of them like that. So those are the type of businesses we support right now. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to get into we're trying to determine what would our vertical be, like which is the one that we want to continue to focus on, because we get customers for the educational more than we get with the e-commerce manufacturing. But the thing is, here in Atlanta, there's a broad scope of businesses out here, from healthcare to marketing to finance. There's so many of them out here that for us to select one vertical will be something that we don't need to do. We can be as broad as we want because of that customer demographic that we have access to.
So what would you say right now as an entrepreneur in these times? What are some of the things you're looking for, like, as help or as clients? Like, what are some of the things, like, that's what this whole networking thing, right? Like, so is there a type of person you're looking for? Is there, because right now that, people need opportunity, right? So what are you looking for?
Well, what I'm looking for more is, I should have taken, I heard the Sean Prez interview that you had, and he was mentioning that he should have, the one thing that he regrets is he didn't take advantage of social media, right? I was never a Facebook person. I was more of a private person when I started my business. But then as the years went on, I started seeing Facebook grow, and Facebook ads, Google ads. I started seeing Instagram and all those other social media platforms that are out there. And I should have taken an advantage of it from the beginning, because in addition to me being the co-founder and the director of business development for this company, I'm also like an adjunct professor. I'm also a public speaker, so a lot of that stuff I should have been taking advantage way back, because then I would have probably established a larger following, and then I could have marketed my business to them. Now I'm starting to get into it a bit more, but now it's become more sophisticated than it was back then.
No doubt.
So I need that specialist, those marketing specialists that can help me take all the two main businesses that I deal with this technology and information security consulting, and also my public speaking, to another game, to another level.
Sure. And I mean, I feel the same way. That's why I'm creating this. At the end of the day, like you said it, when we were back in the day in the Bronx, people like AOC and all these people were around us. And I remember always thinking, man, I know there's something special happening here. I wish I can get a documentary person to come and shoot the content. And I would ask people, but it was no money. It was not like I could afford to pay someone to follow me around all the time. And I remember, and I definitely didn't take advantage of social media as much. I was involved in it, but I wasn't all in. I saw it and I thought, okay, I'll just use it for business.
Right.
Not really personal as much either. And that was another big thing Henny actually taught me, man. He was like, look, because in the beginning I hid behind my company logo because you're Hispanic just like me. When I was doing this technology thing, I was always feeling like people wouldn't believe that I could do this, right? Because it wasn't like normal that a Hispanic from the Bronx is able to do this high level technology stuff for these big brands. So I always was like, look, I'd rather be hidden behind a logo and they don't know that it's me doing this. So Henny was like, no, you got to put your face out there. People have to know it's you. And I'm like, and I used to tell him, yeah, but they're not going to really trust that I can do this. And he's like, no, you already have the history. I think you're looking at it wrong. So that was when I started to do the public speaking and started to put myself out there. Even him, he put me out there. He put me like on in different events to talk about sunshine, and it helped me in the Bronx, right? The Bronx started to recognize me as an entrepreneur, and it got me into further and further speaking engagements and stuff like that. So what I tell people about social media right now, the opportunity is what I'm doing right now. This technology right now was not possible 2 years ago, maybe even 1 year ago, right? This is the time to do stuff like this. Zoom has been around for a long time, but even Zoom had to step its game up once this hit, right? And Zoom now, the government is on Zoom about privacy and all this stuff. But what I really like about like this platform, for instance, is we're able to network right now. You're in Atlanta, I'm in the Bronx. We're creating content. We're talking about what each other needs, and the content is going to be out in the internet. So in a way, it's solving every single business problem we both have, right? You're saying you want to put yourself out there. You want more experience speaking. You want more stuff so on social media. Literally with this, all three of those things happen. Like, right? So, and this service is brand new, right? Like, I'm having internet access problems right now because I'm like, my kids are in school. So we're in the early stage of this, right? The extra part of this is I can take this audio file and put it up on podcast. I know you just started a podcast.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about your podcast?
Yeah, my podcast has to do with things that I'm passionate about. But before we talk about that, I wanted to backtrack a bit, because even though you in New York and in the Bronx, I was reading news articles about you, man, in Atlanta. Yeah, man, in Atlanta. Like, that's how I found out that you were doing the TED Talk, and I found out that you was doing things with Meta Bronx. Yeah, man, I started seeing you. Yeah, you was in a lot of different media platforms in my feed, and I was like, yo, I know that guy, right? so I was like, man, he's doing big things in the Bronx, man. I just wanted to give you props, man, because I remember, like we said, I remember you sitting behind me, and I was sitting in front of you. This is like 10 years ago, man. Probably even more than that, you know what I'm saying? and I know even then you were doing big things, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
And yeah, so my podcast is things that I'm passionate about, like cybersecurity, information technology, business, project management. What it is me. Sometimes I'll just jump on there and have some thoughts. Like my first episode was just me 45 minutes just talking about things that I had in my mind for the past 30 days.
That's what's great about podcasts, man. Like podcasts is, I believe, is the new way to consume content. But the only reason I'm thinking less of that now is because if the quarantine situation, I feel like podcast numbers are going down a little bit. But I believe when you're on the go, podcast is the best way to consume information, right? The problem is right now, not as many people on the go, but it doesn't mean you don't create the podcast, because if people get into that zone, they'll binge watch your whole thing.
Right.
Like I come up on podcasts and they have like 100 episodes, and I just, while I'm working, listen to them, and I end up listening to all of them, So I think it's a great format for people like us, especially if you have information that can help someone. So like, even for me right now, my podcast, I've been slacking on it. I got to upload. I made one and I haven't uploaded it, but I've been doing these. Right. So my goal is to create some form of content every day for that brands, that does personal branding, helps people that may need help on, right now I feel like everybody's an entrepreneur, whether they believe it or not. Everybody's trying to figure out where to get their next buck. And
I can tell you a story about that too when you finish. How I promote that.
Okay, so that's good. Basically, I believe everybody needs to think like an entrepreneur right now, because at the end of the day, you're really worried about your next buck. And what that means is you're going to have to figure out how to make money on your own, right? Not worried about a job paying you. You're going to have to figure out how to create money without a job. So that's entrepreneurship right there, So that's why part of me's named it the Entrepreneur Hour, because I feel like everybody's an entrepreneur right now. I mostly deal with entrepreneurs, but I think everybody is one right now, whether they understand it or not. And they should be learning from people like you on the way they've done it. So tell me the story.
Yeah, definitely, man. Because I teach ethical hacking. I teach cloud computing. I teach enterprise risk management. I teach a whole bunch of technology topics. And one of the questions that I get from my students, they say, Professor Hernandez, I don't have any experience in technology. How do I get a job? Like, how do I get into the career? How do I get into the industry? And I say, well, what do you mean you don't have any experience? You've been going to school for the past 2 years. You've been doing labs in the classroom, right? You've been reading books, right? You've been coming to my class and I've been giving you some nuggets on how things are done in the real world. You have valuable experience that maybe a small business doesn't have, or maybe your local community organization doesn't have, and you can provide your experience to them and grow your network. Once you start establishing that you are a expert in or an aspiring entrepreneur in a specific field, people start gravitating to that, especially if you provided them information that can definitely help them out, right? So I try to inspire my students to say, listen, start your own entity. Like nobody's hiring you. Nobody, you send your resume out, you send 50 to 100 resumes out, you go to career fairs. Nobody wants to hire you. You have a skill set, then create your own entity. Go to your local county office and start a sole proprietorship. That's easy. Pay 50 to 100 bucks, you get a sole proprietorship. You go online and study how to start an LLC, start a nonprofit, start doing content video. I'll be telling students, like, listen, go online, go on YouTube, record yourself doing the lab, so that when you have that content online, they'll start seeing you, man, I learned something from this kid.
And you can do it. Like at the end of the day, what I love about technology especially is it's not about anything other than can you do it?
Right.
So if you are a brown person from the Bronx or a white person from Harvard, whatever, the proof is in the pudding in technology, right? It's not like, hey, I'm just getting this degree. I'm getting this job because of my degree. No, I can prove I can do this, so I'm going to get the job. And that's where I believe, what you're saying now with YouTube, you could YouTube anything. If somebody finds you on YouTube doing the thing that they need, they're going to hire you. I've done it. Like I've done it personally. So I know it works. So I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I tell students all the time to go ahead and do that, right? It shows their expertise, and I'm doing it. Right? I have 20 plus years in IT. I'm teaching. I'm still professionally developing myself. Or I'm trying to make myself better. Right? I'm even doing it. So if I'm still doing it, I'm still having fun with it, I'm still getting opportunities from it, then that means that you can do it as well.
100%. And I'm in your same boat right now. Even I've been 20 years in this thing, learning and understanding that technology changes. Whatever you know right now, you can't sit down and say, all right, I'm done. I'm going to retire off this technology. Every 5 years, minimum, now it's going a lot faster. Something comes out that changes the whole game and you got to jump on it, right? So like right now, what would you say are some of the skills that you believe people, either entrepreneurs or people that want to find jobs, should start looking into?
Well, I believe I'm always preaching cloud first, right? The cloud is changing the game out there, right? They have these new technologies that are coming out into the cloud, like AWS, Azure, Google. I mean, you can learn those things from with a couple of weeks of self-study. You can start learning the intro stuff to it to be dangerous enough to get that skill set. those skill sets are paying six figures. Like if you go right online and you type in Google and say the top 5 IT certifications, you're gonna see security, cybersecurity, which is the next one I'm gonna talk about, and you're gonna see the cloud, right? In any capacity, right? So that's one of them. I'm always saying. The next one is cybersecurity. Right now, the last statistic that I read, there's 2 million job openings, even in this climate right now. Even in this climate, cybersecurity is needed right now more than ever.
More than ever.
More than ever right now.
Online. Yeah.
More than ever right now. People are taking the organizations are allowing their people to work from home. They're taking them from that trusted network at their offices with the high-end firewalls and the expensive computers and the IT staff there. And now they're moving that to their homes, an unprotected environment, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to be able to protect the assets, the company assets, while people are working from home. So they're going to need specialists, right? They're going to need people to train. They're going to need people to support. They're going to need all that, right? And the other thing is some type of programming skill, right? Whether it is, because right now everything is a web application, right? And you don't really need to be a super high-end coder. You don't need to be like the top coder. You just need to be able to understand how web application works, right? So that it makes you more knowledgeable in that space than the next man or the next person.
Wow. And to be honest, it's a language, right? And it's the language of the future, right? Like, and, it's not, and I'm not saying any specific coding language.
That's what I'm saying.
In general, right? The languages will change. Like I always tell people, I became one of the best people at coding in Flash. Flash doesn't even exist anymore, right? But in like this 7-year window, it was the top of the world. Like people were making a shit ton of money. All the coolest websites were built in it. Now it's gone, right? To me, one of the biggest things I'm looking at is cloud and AI and data collection and data science. Those
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that too. You brought a good point. Data is a commodity right now, right? I heard the other episode that you had with the gentleman that was talking about how he markets online, right? And he was talking about the different types of demographics that are being collected. You do that with data science. You do data collection. You do with business intelligence. I start telling people, listen, start learning about Microsoft Power BI. Start learning about Tableau. Start learning about those data analytic tools, because that's big money. Working with big data, I mean, collecting all that data and then helping organizations understand that data and turning that data into information so that it could be useful for them is big right now.
That to me is the number one thing. And even for small business, I feel like all small businesses creating data, but they're not using it. Even the big businesses are not, but the small businesses have more flexibility, right? Like if you go into Microsoft and say, hey, of course Microsoft knows, but like let's say you go into a big company, they're not going to just let you, collect their data and do stuff with it. But a smaller company can, and it can learn and do stuff better and really evolve fast versus these bigger companies that, they're slow moving because they're so big. And I really, really believe like this AI and data situation and the cybersecurity thing is right. That's a big thing. I haven't even thought about that. Like now all these people are on probably unprotected networks, and it's a huge opportunity, but luckily, people can't be outside right now to take advantage of it, hopefully.
Well, but the thing is, when you talk about AI and machine learning is integrating with cybersecurity right now. So they have these companies right now that are using AI and machine learning to combat cyber threats, to know about the patterns of cyber threats and how they're affecting networks. They have all that data that when an organization starts using AI and machine learning cybersecurity tools, they better protect themselves. Right, so those worlds are integrated. You're absolutely right with everything that you mentioned. Right, these type of technologies can only benefit businesses and people that want to learn them.
So you're a professor. You have a small business. I guess one of the things I'm thinking, and now you're a content creator too, right? So, what would you say to a person right now? Like I don't know. You said it. You were an employee of a nonprofit, and then you became an entrepreneur. What would you tell somebody right now who's on that cusp, that's looking at this world and saying, "What should I do next?" Right? What advice would you give them?
Well, when it came to me, I didn't think of. So some people, when they make the decision, what stops them from making the decision is sometimes financials, right? Somebody said, well, I need to get that check every 2 weeks, right? Some of them look around them and like, man, I have a family, man, I just can't go and start doing this. But like when you had the conversation with Sean Prez, he was talking about that, you have to, when you have that in your mind, right, you have to go ahead and do it, right? My advice would be is, if you're very passionate about being independent, I call it independence, right? In my eyes, because
that's more what it is. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because what you see right now, and I learned it through my career in working for corporations and dealing with the situation right now. There's some businesses that love you as an employee, that really feel your pain. But when it comes to the decision of letting you go versus keeping their business live and functioning, they're gonna let you go. You see, there's like, what was the number I read? Like 12 million unemployed, probably even more than that. I forgot that.
I think it's 20. Some
crazy number, right? I mean, something over 1 million is crazy, right? So 20 million, right, for something that just started bubbling within January. So from January to April, 20 million people lost their jobs, right? So if a business can easily let you go, right, and you have something, a skill set, like we're creating content, we have technology skill sets, but like what Sean Press said, you could be a tire changer. If you have an idea, and these times will probably be the best time to start even working on that idea, right?
Because it's probably the best time. This is the best time you're ever gonna have, literally ever. Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunities out there. I keep hearing you mention in the other episode, there's a lot of opportunities out there, right? And people think, well, these opportunities are coming because of the pandemic, but there's a need for these opportunities to be met, right? And this is the time to be able to do it, right? If you're a fashion designer, you were creating clothes and everything, then you should take that skill set and start creating masks. Right.
So it's funny you say that. I may have a guy on in about a week or so that's doing that already. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, Like everything is an opportunity, and the worse the situation, the more the opportunity. And right now, it's crazy. Like the amount of opportunity that I'm seeing swirling around, and I'm stuck at home, is freaking crazy. It's pretty crazy. Like I'm literally working all day every day to take advantage of them. It's to the point now where I'm like, all right, I gotta figure out how to not do anything else but work on a few of these opportunities, because it's too much. Like even just having calls come in about new opportunities is like, I can't really deal with that right now. I gotta take advantage of this,
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, like right now, the courses that I'm teaching has been transitioned to online learning. Right, so I'm on a computer. I just finished a class at 9 o'clock this morning, from 8 in the morning to 9 o'clock. Right, okay. I took a break and then I jumped on the session with you. Right, what's going to happen is I'm online searching for virtual events for me to be a speaker on. Right, so I'm scouring the internet, because now they're moving those events online. There's more opportunities for speakers now, right, to go there. Right, so there's so many events that are happening all over the world that they need speakers like us to go ahead and do it. And some of them are paid, some of them are not.
That's interesting. That's interesting you say that, because I had a speaking engagement canceled, a paid speaking engagement in Ireland canceled, and that was a big part of my 2020 kind of goal, like to do more paid speaking engagements around the world. And now this is pretty much. But at the end of the day, I hosted a panel for something in Texas, South by Southwest panel, because of this. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for this. So I started to, grow my network in that too. It's interesting that I didn't even know that people, are still looking for speakers. That's great advice, actually.
There's I can give it to you. There's a website that you can go to. It's called Speaker Hub. And the Speaker Hub you go to, and is a platform for event speakers. And that website actually publishes events that are happening all over the world, right? So if you have a specific specialty or you have a specific topic, you can search through that platform, and it'll give you the different events that it has. You have, as a public speaker, you have to register for the site, right? Sure. It's a nominal fee a year. But but I've gained so many events from there. I actually had one before the situation happened in Colorado, right? So they had to cancel that. But then I got another one that's virtual, and that's coming up in May, and then I have another one that's going on in June.
That's really cool, man. I'm gonna do that. I'm doing that. See, that's what's great about this show. It goes both ways, right? Like you just gave me some info that I didn't have, and the whole audience now is having that same opportunity. And the speaking thing, I know right now we're in a bad time to think, oh, I can be a speaker. This might be the best time ever to become a speaker because it's a lot less pressure. You're in your house talking, right? Versus being on stage. You could start getting that practice in your house. Versus that stage thing takes some time to get comfortable with, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
the thing with me is I started one of the idea of starting the podcast years ago, like maybe 2 years ago. I wanted to start the podcast, right? And then one day from the next, I said I had all these ideas in my mind. Right? I've been cooped up for 30 days. My mind's about to blow, right? So I said, let me record what's on my mind, and that became my first episode.
And that's what podcasts are, though. At the end of the day, the best podcasts are the people giving you what they're thinking, and then you are able to take that and say, all right, let me add that to what I think, right? Yeah. So like Joe Rogan, right? It's guests, but they're both just telling you what they think. And then you're like, you know, you take it in. And that's what's so awesome about this podcast thing. And I've been doing the same thing. I need to get back on it. I'll be honest. I'm like, again, too many opportunities. I'm starting to feel like I don't even have enough time in the day anymore. And I thought, you know, I'd be stuck at home so I could do anything I want for, you know, for this, however long this is going to take. But I feel like I don't have enough time at all. And I felt like that before, obviously. But now being like, oh, cool, we're going to be home for 30 days. I could do everything. I catch up on a bunch of things. You know, that's definitely not happening. But, all right, so I usually try to keep it within now. Of course, we go over if we have to. But what would you say right now is, all right, you spoke about needing help on the social media marketing stuff. You talked about doing the speaking engagement stuff. That's awesome. You're teaching online, which is huge. Right now, I'm also another hustle I got going on, which I'm creating an online course to teach people how to take advantage of AI and data for coders and non-coders, right? I'm working with a team in Nepal that I've been working with for years. I'm creating that because, again, for me, I feel like there's skills that us as just IT kind of people need to know, but then as a business person, you know, for your business, it's different, right? There's a skill set of coding to get a job or to get companies, clients, but to understand how to use it to grow your business, that's a whole different ball game. Right. So basically, I want to learn it. So instead of saying, look, I'm going to learn it, I said, look, if I want to learn it, I'm sure other people want to learn it and they probably will pay for it because if you look up AI, they're saying AI is going to be like the electricity of this generation. Right. Well, before when people had to go to sleep at 6 o'clock because the lights went out, they were able to turn on the lights because of electricity. That's what AI is going to do for this next generation. So if you are stuck in the ages before there was light, you know, and you're still thinking like that, you're obviously out of business, right? So I really believe this AI thing is going to be the propeller of, you know, the future generations. So I'm like, all right, I want to be on the front lines. I want to understand that as much as possible. You know, I already have my stand in AR. So that's a way I took advantage of an opportunity. I said, all right, I know there's a lot of online classes going on right now. I want to learn this. Why don't I create a class with a partner? Of course, you know, we figure out how to make money together. So that's what another thing I've been doing. What do you see as the key things on online teaching? Because you're an adjunct professor and you're taking classes. What do you see as that opportunity with online?
No, there's a lot of opportunity in that, especially for course developers. Yep. Right. So right now with Zoom, right, a lot of the public schools are moving to Zoom, right? They saw Zoom had some privacy and security issues like you said, and they abandoned that, right? So now they're looking for new solutions, right? So if you're a company that is in the beginning stages of creating a online platform for teaching or for learning, then you take those lessons learned from those companies and you build a product that then you can then market to the schools, right? But you're going to need course developers, right? You're going to need people who are content creators like you know, or people or specialists in a particular technology like you and I, you know, to work alongside of them and build this product that when it gets put to the masses, everybody starts gravitating to it, right? So online course development to me is going to be something that, because look, in New York City, I mean, in New York City, I think actually in Georgia, they cancel school for the entire year, right? And they talking about also canceling it for the rest of the year. The colleges that I teach at are also thinking about canceling it for the rest of the year as well, and starting back again maybe next year. So they're gonna need to start putting together these courses that are going to be workable for today's times.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it because I know as an IT person, like I learned most of this stuff not in school.
Yeah.
Like I always tell people, if you're gonna go pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, take a loan that you can never not pay, even if you don't get the job they promise you, because a lot of these schools will be like, yeah, you know, come to my school, you get $100,000 job. I've literally had interns tell me that. No, my school says I'm gonna make $100,000 as soon as I come out. I'm like, your school's lying to you. Like, you know.
When I first started in IT, I used to see the commercials back in 2000, 1999, 2000, 1998 to 2000 about these schools that saying you get paid $65,000 for being this, $100,000 for being that. And I actually say, you know what? They doing that. Let me go try to enroll. And then when I started learning about it and started going into the real world, I said, man, they're not paying you $90,000 entry level job. So I got suckered into it too.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, when we started, Google didn't exist. YouTube didn't exist. You could learn all this stuff for free. It's really on you and your dedication to sitting on the computer, learning it. That's the difference. I believe people pay for school because they can't do that. But now we're kind of being forced into that environment where you're going to have to learn like that. Right. So I think it's going to be an exciting time for that because, like, for instance, my kids now are in that world. They have to learn that way. Right, and if they learn how to learn that way, they're not going to need to go to school to learn anything. They're going to be able to research it themselves and learn it. Right. The piece of paper was really about networking and that piece of paper being a value add on your resume. Right. And even that's going away. Like these big companies like Google, they're talking about not even asking anymore about degrees and stuff like that because they understand doesn't matter. Can you do this shit? There's some of the best people didn't go to college, you know, like, or they dropped out. So I believe this online education thing is a humongous opportunity. It's really up to us and everybody to really start figuring out how to put themselves in the zone to be able to learn online because it is all the information is out there for free. You're paying for somebody to spoon feed it to you and smack you if you look away, like if they're your parent, right? Like, you know, but if you can get that discipline to like do it yourself, there's nothing you can't learn on, you know, at all, anything.
Information is out there. Information is out there, and it is out there because people like you, people like me, that are putting that content out there.
100%, 100%. Like anything you can imagine. Imagine there's someone who has a tutorial on YouTube for it. So in that aspect, you brought this up earlier, telling your students, why don't you create these tutorials, right? Mm-hmm. Like, all right, you're doing it, so why not record it and have it out there as your personal portfolio? Like as a proof that you know how to do it. You literally proven that you can do this. Like I told you, I literally have hired people to do stuff for me for big brands because I saw a tutorial that they did on YouTube. And I was like, oh, all right, I need that. Let me reach out to this guy. And people all over the world. Like I'm talking about, I've hired people in China, in Sweden, in, you know, Istanbul, crazy place, anywhere, because I saw them do something online that I needed. Right. Yeah, so same thing, we could be doing the same thing as entrepreneurs. Part of this show is so now people that know me know you, right? Yeah. You know, and vice versa. So I guess to end it, what would you say? You know, how can people find you, you know, for speaking engagements, for your businesses, for whatever you do?
Well, you can find me. You can go to my LinkedIn. If you search for Felix Hernandez, CISM PMP, which is a Certified Information Security Manager and Project Management Professional. You just do a search in LinkedIn on that. You can go to my website, which is felixhernspeaks.com.
Oh, nice. You went for the speaking. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And then you can go on my Instagram, which is at Felix Hearn Speaks. It has a lot of content on that on there. And also you can go to my consulting company's website, which is aatsg.com. It has all the information about me in all those areas.
Awesome. Great catching up, man. And like I tell everybody, you're welcome anytime. I even want to make it where it's not just one person. I want to have like few people that I meet, like even like that episode with Sean Perez. I was hoping someone else would jump in and because it just, I wanted to come back to that feeling of that I had in the Bronx, where people would just come in and we would just talk, and different people would meet different people, right? And certain people just end up being humongous, like AOC, right? Like,
yeah. And the thing is with this platform that you put together, right? The show that you put together, like you said earlier, you're in the Bronx, right? I'm in Atlanta. I haven't seen you in years, right? But then we reconnected on social media. We started talking. I started liking your stuff. You started liking my stuff. We started sharing each other's information, and then we come back and network again and talk again. And then what's going to happen is this I hope will lead to continuous networking and continuous sharing of ideas.
100%. And to me, that was the greatest. Like once I understood what I created with this, it basically, I was telling somebody this morning, actually my dad, because me and my dad, we talk every morning about business opportunities. And I was like, well, this show kind of turned into a way to catch up with people that are doing great things and possibly working with them, right, or connecting them to something that may help them. So it's like a triple win. And I wanted to keep it going. This morning was a little crazy with the technical difficulties. So I got a plan for when that happens now. But it was great catching up, Felix.
Definitely, man.
I'm going to keep in touch. It's awesome to learn about the speaking stuff and everything that you're doing. And of course, another brown person in tech. We're like unicorns. I love the fact that you kept at it, and keep it going, man. Thank you for
I want to give you props too, man. Again, you're doing great things in the Bronx, man. You uplifting the youth. I've seen your growth over the past couple of years, man. And that TED Talk you did, man, really opened up my eyes, man, about what you were talking about, man. I would love to see you get on a more bigger stage and talk about that type.
Thank you. That's my plan. Thank you, Felix. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Have a good day, man.
You too, man. Have a good one.
All right, peace.
Peace.